What up, what up? Welcome back to the podcast. It's been a minute. I broke my microphone, so I had to get a new one, had to get resituated, but we are back in business. So I hope you're ready for a solid episode. I have a couple of good questions from some listeners. I'll get to those in a minute. Just a quick update on my training. I am still working through my Achilles pain, but as of today, April 12th, I had a really good run today. Still doing run-walk intervals, working my way up to increasing the duration of the run and reducing the duration of the walk. Today was the best I felt in a very long time. It's been about 4 runs since I've had any actual pain, but today was definitely the best. The run in general was longer than they have been. The running portion of the run was longer than it has been. So I'm feeling very optimistic right now. I mentioned already that I didn't believe there was any structural damage to my Achilles, and that is officially confirmed, because if there was, there's no way I would be able to do what I'm currently doing. There's no way I'd be able to do a 12-minute run, walk for 1 minute, a 14-minute run, if I had actual structural damage. I was talking to a friend and a client, and I told him what I was going through, and he was surprised because he said he only knows people who truly hurt their Achilles, like a tear or a rupture. And he said that he's never really heard anybody just having this pain that you can sort of rebuild the tolerance and rebuild that tissue to its full capacity. And that's a fair point. I mean, most of the time when you hear people talking about Achilles pain, it's never anything good. It's people who have a tear or a rupture, or people who've been dealing with it for years and they just accept it as part of life. I'm not someone who's just going to accept something as part of life, so you guys kind of went through this process with me when I noticed that it was happening, and I started to kind of scale back and do less than I wanted to make sure that the healing process and the rebuild process was appropriate. And I'm super happy that I did that, because my ego wanted to do more than I should have, and I made sure to keep myself in check. And I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and even though I didn't want to scale back my running, I really had to convince myself that I'm not going to lose any of my running skills in 4 to 6 weeks of rebuilding this tissue. I'm not going to be a worse runner, and if I do cardio appropriately, I'll be able to maintain my cardiac base and even build off that, and I'll be able to build my high intensity cardio, and I'll be able to continue to improve my heart rate recovery if I do cardio on other modalities. So if you know me, you know I'm a big fan of the Airdyne, so that's what I did. I did these shorter, easier runs that ended up being probably zone 2 runs for me, but then I was making sure to include 2, sometimes 3 high-intensity interval workouts on the Airdyne, which is not going to make me a better runner per se, because the gait cycle is completely different, but it is going to improve my cardio in the ways that I need it to improve. So I was able to capitalize on improving my cardio while I was still taking a break from running. I know I didn't lose any running skill, because I've actually felt my running economy improve during these easy runs. So I'm sticking between a 9:05 to a 9:40 pace during my runs, and I've noticed that any pace in between there, whether it's 9:05, 9:15, 9:30, 9:40, it's way easier of a pace than it ever has been. Running economy is basically the level of effort that you're exerting at a given pace. And shoot, 4 years ago, when I was running a 9:40 pace, that was hard for me. That was embarrassingly challenging. Felt like I was working my ass off. Over the past couple of years, that has turned into my warm-up pace. But now it's actually hard for me to run that slow. So even like 9:30, for example, it's become pretty easy for me to run. So comparing that to like a year or two ago, when I would still be I'm definitely not sprinting, but I'm putting forth a relatively good amount of effort to run at a 9:30 pace. Now when I'm running at a 9:30 pace, it's just easier. And so that's how I know my running economy has improved. So that has been the silver lining of all this, is when I'm running these slower paces, which I feel silly even saying that because I'm not the fastest runner, but when I am running a 9:15 pace, it feels like I'm putting in less effort. It is easier in a sense. So even though I want to like step on it a little bit and go faster, and I kind of miss doing my speed work, I'm really soaking it in and just appreciating the fact that my running economy has improved, and that that running at a certain pace has become easier, because it's basically a zone 2 run for me at that point. And a year or two ago, there's no way that was going to be the case. For me to be in a zone 2 when running, I would have had to run at like a 10:30 or 11-minute pace. And some of you may know that's a really hard thing to do. So all is well. I'm moving in the right direction. I have, like I said, increased the running duration. At first I was doing, well, not at first, but let's say midway through this process, I was doing 5-minute run, 2-minute walk for 3 rounds, which has gotten me to 21 minutes or so. And then I would increase that to 4 rounds, and I'd be around 28 minutes. And I would be taking those walks to basically lower the intensity while keeping that duration high. I've been able to, over the past couple of weeks, move into 12-minute running rounds with a 1-minute walk. So I have basically built myself up to remove the lower intensity walk to keep the intensity high, and my tendon has not given me any real feedback. So I have yet to do a full like 30-minute run, but I have done a 30-minute session with walking 1 minute in between. My next move is to now just do a 30-minute straight run. It's not going to be a fast run, still same pace. I'm going to have the same range, 9:05 to 9:45. And the next and final test basically is going to be just running straight for 30 minutes. And then for me, that's going to be a pretty big indicator of having my capacity back and at the point that I want it to. So I'll probably do that twice. By the next time I record, I'll have done that twice, and I'll know exactly where I'm at and how I'm going to ramp things up. So from there, I'll probably split my workouts into 2, and I will do 30 minutes straight running, and then I think I'm going to do something like faster intervals to increase the intensity, short, fast intervals, and then I'll also maybe try to increase to like a 35-minute run and see how that goes. With all of that being said, there is a Spartan race coming up in 2 weeks. That's the one that I was training for. I talked about it. I was doing a lot of incline work on the treadmill during the winter. I was doing a lot of sandbag carrying. I was going to make sure that I was an absolute beast carrying a sandbag up the mountains of that race. 3 years ago, I placed 9th at that race, so I had a plan, I had an intention that I was going to go in there and smash that race this time. I think I'm going to pull out of that race. Really sucks to say, really sucks to have to make that decision, but I think it's the right one. Even though I'm moving in the right direction, it's hard to say that my Achilles is ready for 8 miles on a mountain with like 3,000 feet of elevation gain. That's a lot. Not just that, it's not just hiking and running up a hill and down a hill. There's also jumping on and off of obstacles. So there's a lot of variables that could come into play. Variables that I'm not necessarily willing to risk because it's just going to increase my chances of being set back even more. So the choice is, do I go out there and just chill and have fun and just move at a relatively like slow pace and just go out there, get the first race jitters out, complete it? Yeah, maybe I could do that. But what's going to happen when I get out there and I'm around other people and the adrenaline's flowing? Am I going to try pushing myself harder than I should and end up setting myself back? So if that happens, it's going to be the end of April and I might set myself back 2 months, as opposed to if I don't do that and I don't go, I can keep rebuilding, and within 3 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, I can be back into my full training. So that's the decision that I'm making. It's not easy. I'm not happy about it, but it's going to allow me to basically ramp things up sooner than if I am to roll the dice and actually set myself back, or even worse, create some structural damage. So that's the update with me and my training and my Achilles. Strength is still up. My strength workouts are still solid. My interval workouts on the bike, I am stronger there. My cardio is better. So everything else aside from the Achilles tendon is legit growing, improving, and progressing. I feel strong as hell. Still haven't hit a deadlift PR, but again, I'm not losing sleep over that. My squat's strong, my deadlift is strong. All of like my braced exercises are strong. Leg press, lat pull down, all that stuff. Skill work is all still solid, muscle ups, pull ups, all that. So everything's good here. Still working on getting the Achilles to 100%. I will let you know how that goes the next time we chat. So I hope your training is going well also. Keep in mind, if you're out there working hard regularly and maybe you're in a little bit of a rut, maybe you're feeling like you're not making progress, but you're training 5-6 times a week and you're doing some sort of concurrent training, like hybrid training, where you're working on multiple different aspects of your fitness, where you're trying to lift heavy to get stronger and build muscle, and you're trying to improve your running. Keep this nugget in mind. Fatigue masks fitness. So if you are tired, which is a natural part of lifting heavy and running hard, you may feel like you're not making progress, but you are. The fatigue is just masking your fitness. So make sure to check in with your body, prioritize rest, prioritize food. If you're not recovering well, pump the brakes a little bit, maybe take a deload week. Recover how you need to, but know that even if you don't make substantial progress every week, it doesn't mean that your body isn't growing throughout that situation or throughout that progress. Fatigue masks fitness. Even if you feel good, there still might be a little bit of a lag because of that fatigue. Keep pushing, keep grinding, and keep listening to your body. I have a couple of listener questions today, which I'm super excited about. These are in-depth questions. I'm going to try and go in-depth on these to give you guys, even if you aren't the person who asked the question, a little bit of nuance into how I would handle these situations if you were my online strength and nutrition client. And if you're not, you can use this information to your advantage and apply it to your life on your own. So question number 1. I work 2 jobs and have no time to work out. I leave for my full-time job at 8:10 a.m., get home at 5:15, then leave for my part-time job at 6:15 and get home around 9:30. I don't want my sleep to suffer, so I'm struggling to find time to squeeze in a workout. This is a really good question. It's a tough situation. I bet this person is not alone. Lifestyles are super busy, and it's really hard to find time to work out, especially when you don't have the bandwidth because of the other things in your life. So this person could be a parent, which would make things even more difficult. Even if they're not, they have friends and they potentially have a social life. So squeezing in a workout with this work schedule as it is going to be tough in general. Add on any other variable and it's damn near impossible. So the first thing that I would say, as far as sleep suffering, if you're not working out at all, and let's say you're getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep, it might be worth sacrificing sleep at that point to get a workout in. If that means you have to sleep for 7 hours instead of 7.5 to get a 30-minute workout in at home, I think that is completely worth it. Even if you sleep for 6.5 hours, 2 to 3 nights a week to get a 30-minute workout in at home before work, I think that's worth it. Now, somebody like me who trains for 2 hours, 6 to 7 days a week, I can't sacrifice sleep because I need to recover. So, for example, instead of working out 7 days a week, maybe I should, on that 7th day, stay in bed and sleep for 30 to 60 minutes longer as opposed to getting out of bed and getting a workout in. Does that make sense? So that's the first point. Now, let's just say this person is kind of on the edge of not getting enough sleep and they do need to stay in bed for the exact amount of time. So they're leaving for work at 8, 10 in the morning. I'm assuming you get up in time to not be like sprinting out the door with your coffee spilling all over the place and speeding through traffic. You have a reasonable time in the morning to work out. You are the perfect person to take advantage of exercise snacks. If you're an athlete who's already conditioned, your training age is relatively high, exercise snacks are going to have little to no benefit to you. But if you have a low training age and you are trying to get started with fitness or maintain a relatively new fitness journey, or you want to get in shape, exercise snacks are probably the most underrated strategy that you are going to come across. In short, an exercise snack is going to be a 2 to 5 minute period in your day that you take to do quick bursts of exercise. And those quick bursts can be anything from calisthenics movements to some sort of cardio. If you have a stationary bike, you can do a couple rounds of sprints. You could do like run up and down your stairs, anything along those lines. For this person, the way I would do this is I would structure 2 exercise snacks at 2 different points during your day. So in the morning, before you take a shower, I would say do 3 to 4 sets, or let's say 3 to 5 sets of 10 push-ups. And make those push-ups challenging. So if you're relatively strong and you do 10 push-ups and you feel like you could do 10 more, I want you to make those push-ups more difficult. So when you get to rep number 10, you feel like you could only do 2 more. You do that by elevating your feet on a step, even if it's a step off of your staircase. Doing diamond push-ups, doing pike push-ups. I want you to find a challenging push-up variation and do 3 to 5 sets of 10 with a very short break in between. So that means you're going to pump out about 50 push-ups before you go to work. That should only take 5 minutes. So sacrifice something, whether that is try to make your shower quicker, try to tighten up your morning routine to save you a minute or two, or make sure that you don't scroll on your phone before work. If you're somebody who wakes up, you grab your phone in bed and you scroll for 10 minutes, cut that. You're going to wake up, you are going to go to your yoga mat, and you're going to do your 5 sets of push-ups. So right there you have 50 reps of push-ups. That's going to be super effective for you. And then when you get home from your full-time job, before you leave for your part-time job, you're going to take some time to decompress. Maybe you're going to get your food ready for the night, things like that. Now you are going to do 3 sets of 20 body weight squats. That's your second exercise snack. So with all that said and done, you have now done 50 push-ups and 60 squats in 2 different sessions in maybe a full 10 minutes of your day. So you no longer have to worry about carving out an entire 30 to 60 minutes just to get a workout in. You're going to compress all of that, and you're only going to spend a total of 5 to 10 minutes, and you're going to get active, you're going to challenge your muscles, you're going to get your heart rate up, and you're going to improve your physical health from that. There's so many different ways that you can do this. If you're somebody that works from home and you're a beginner, or you're not working out and you're not taking advantage of exercise snacks in this capacity, you are seriously missing out. You can do the same structure every 2 hours, set an alarm, and do 3 to 5 sets of an exercise. If you can do that 4 times in a day, you now have 4 exercises, which is plenty for a workout. For a lot of my clients, they're only doing 4 exercises in a workout. A 60-minute workout, they're doing 4 exercises, 3 to 5 sets each. And yes, maybe I'm having them stretch their rest to 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And you may not have time to do that if we're trying to condense all of this movement. But nonetheless, you're still getting the same volume as they are. You're just condensing the time and stretching out the duration in between each of those sets. And it's still going to create the stimulus that you're looking for. Your body doesn't know if you're doing all of these exercises in a 60-minute time frame, or if you're stretching them out and doing 5 to 10 minutes at a time. Your body is still going to adapt and change, and you're still going to make progress. Again, if you're a conditioned athlete, it may not be the best use of your time. But if you're somebody who's just looking to get some fitness in without spending an hour in the gym, this is a very, very good way to do it. I think an underrated approach for like kind of the cardio side of this would be to like run up and down your stairs. If you live in a condo, you can do stairs up and down twice, rest for 30 seconds, up and down twice, rest for 30 seconds. I was just talking to a friend of mine who lives in a condo, and he has stairs that go up to his second floor, and then there's a landing, a little platform where it's his front door and his neighbor's front door directly across, and then the stairs go down to the other side. And then there's a walkway, and then there's another set of stairs just like that. Goes up, platform, down, and so on. So he likes to play video games. It's kind of his, for lack of a better term, like guilty pleasure when he's done with working. He works very hard. He works 10 to 12 hours a day. He wants to just like play a game on his PS5. So he said he's been trying to do some like mobility snacks because he heard me talking about them on my social media. So he'll do things just like some hip 90-90s. He'll do some open books and things like that. And he said he also throws in some push-ups. But he's struggling to find a way to do cardio in between some of these things that he's doing when he gets home from work. I told him, dude, just run up your stairs, walk across the landing, jog down, jog to the next set of stairs, run up, jog across, walk down. Take a quick break, go back up, go down, go back up, go down. You can be creative with this. The one thing that I sort of discourage, even though they're great, is like sprinting intervals for adults who are not conditioned and looking to sneak in some intervals. This is why I really like stationary bikes, especially the Airdyne. I mean, if you have access to an Airdyne or a Peloton, you can jump on that Peloton, you can go hard for 30 seconds, rest for 30 seconds, do that for 6 minutes, and there's your exercise snack. But if you try doing 20 to 30 second sprints outside, it's very taxing on the hamstrings. It's very demanding on your hamstrings. And if you are not conditioned to sprint, there's a high likelihood that you're going to pull a hamstring. I know numerous people, adults, who are relatively fit, but they pull a hamstring when sprinting, whether it's playing like rec league softball, running to first base after they get a hit, or racing their daughter because their 14-year-old daughter thinks they're faster than them, and they say, all right, let's see if you're faster than your dad, and they line up and they sprint for the first time in however long, and they end up pulling a hamstring. I know 2 people off the top of my head who have like severely pulled a hamstring. I'm talking completely black and blue around the entire thing just from running hard or sprinting. So I don't think that's the best idea. You can maybe do like a moderate to hard jog intervals if that is something that can really spike your heart rate, but I don't encourage like all-out sprints like a 20-yard dash. So long-winded way of saying to this listener, question 1 from my listener, exercise snacks. Don't overthink it. 2 times a day is going to be perfect. If you get home from work after your part-time job, you get home around 9:30, if you can add another 5 minutes of exercise snacks in there, that would be great. Maybe instead of doing strength at that point, you do some mobility. I mentioned that my friend does this. Maybe just some hip and shoulder mobility. 5 minutes of some like active stretching, like thoracic rotations, hip rotations, hip circles, anything along those lines. You can scroll through my Instagram and find dozens and dozens of mobility movements that you could just cherry pick and add into your day. Next question, listener question number 2. I'm having 3 protein shakes per day to help hit my protein target. Is that too much? Most of the time my answers my answer falls back to it depends, because everybody's different. So it does depend. It depends on how many calories a day that you eat. I'm going to assume that this person is more along the lines of in a fat loss phase or maintenance than a bulking phase, just because a lot of my audience, most of my audience isn't bulking. I don't really try to have a bodybuilding audience. That's not who my content is made for, and there's a reason for that. So most of the time I'm talking to athletes or general population, regular people who just want to shed a few extra pounds. They want to maintain their body weight. They want to feel better in their skin. They want to be stronger. So I'm assuming that they're eating a relatively low to moderate amount of calories. So 3 protein shakes in a day is a lot. A rule of thumb is you want to limit protein supplements to 20 to 25% of your daily protein intake. And that doesn't matter if you are having 1 protein powder or and a protein bar, or 2 protein bars or 2 protein shakes. And basically an easy way to do that is just 2 protein supplements per day. Like I just said, if you're limiting yourself to 2 protein supplements per day, it can be 2 protein bars. Gross, that sounds horrible. 2 scoops of protein powder, whether you split them up in the day like I do, or have them all in one shake, also kind of gross, or 1 protein shake and 1 protein bar. I do not recommend doing more than that. If you're having 3 protein supplements in a day, it's probably overkill. I would definitely encourage having more of your protein come from food. Things like lean meats, low to no fat dairy, fish. You're going to get tag-along protein from vegetables and lentils and beans and things like that. So try to limit your protein intake to either 20 to 25% of your total daily protein, or 2 supplements a day. And there's a reason for that. First reason is you're going to get more nutrients with more variety. Protein foods, they're not just protein. Red meat is going to give you iron and B vitamins. Dairy gives you calcium. Fish is going to bring you omega-3s. Plant sources, they bring fiber and other micronutrients. So you're improving your overall diet. You're not just hitting your protein. That's one of the big reasons from a health perspective, which you know that I'm not just about getting strong and getting fast. I am very much about overall health. So variety is a really important thing when it comes to getting your protein in. It's also going to give you some better digestion. Relying on one source all day can feel heavy and mess with your stomach. And mixing sources is going to spread the load a little bit. It's just going to feel better in your digestion. You'll probably feel that almost immediately. The third reason that a lot of people don't think of is it's going to give you better amino acid coverage. If you are just getting your protein source from mainly supplements and like one piece of meat, your amino acid coverage is going to be very small. But if you spread that out to different sources, then you're going to be hitting a wider range of amino acids because different proteins have different amino acid profiles. Animal proteins are complete and high quality. Plant proteins can be a little bit lower in certain amino acids, so mixing sources is going to cover your bases without overthinking it. Just get a variety of different proteins. Yes, protein supplements are super convenient, but they're definitely going to leave gaps in your overall nutrition if you rely on them too heavily. Third question. I've heard that you should do cardio at higher intensity like zone 3 or zone 4 for health and longevity. I currently walk 10,000 steps a day, lift 4 to 5 days per week, and occasionally throw in a zone 2 session. I want to incorporate cardio for health and longevity. How much and what kind should I do to maximize health benefits? Well, you are in the right place. I speak about this a lot. I'll make this quick because there's probably numerous other podcast episodes and pieces of content that my regular listeners have heard me talk about. But my general rule of thumb is between 90 to 120 minutes of cardio per week, and trying to find a nice balance of 80 to 20 or 85 to 15% zone 2 to higher intensity. And there's no hard line. There's a lot of athletes out there that will say you have to have 80% of your work be done in easy zones, 20 is in harder zones. Then there's another school of thought that where it's 85-15. I'm probably closer to the 85-15, but it's not necessarily because there's any more or less benefits one way or the other. The objective fact is higher intensity cardio, if done right, is harder on your body and harder to do more of. So easier zone 2 cardio is going to be very accessible and it's easily repeated. You can pretty much do it almost every single day and you can maximize your benefits. Now I will say if you are over 120 minutes of just zone 2 cardio, you're probably capping yourself pretty soon, if not already, and you're gonna want to at least go like 100 minutes of zone 2 and then 20 minutes of high intensity. Because here's the deal, when you cross over into zone 3, zone 4, or zone 5, it doesn't mean that you're not getting any of the zone 2 benefits. You'll still get some of those benefits from zone 2, and yes, there are some cardiac benefits that are just zone 2, like the full filling effect and the stretching of the heart that happens during slow, steady state cardio. But there are other vascular benefits, there's blood flow benefits that do come from higher intensity. So just because you cross over this hard line from zone 2 to zone 3 doesn't mean that you start to erase other benefits. The reason that we don't encourage people to do 100 minutes of zone 4 or zone 5 cardio is because it's not sustainable. If you're doing true high intensity cardio, you can only do like 30 minutes a week, maybe 40 minutes a week, spread over 2 to 3 days. So you don't want to run yourself into the ground. You don't want to run yourself ragged by doing super high intensity cardio, because you're just not going to recover, and you're not going to be able to put forth the effort, and you're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do. So I would say 100 minutes of zone 2, and then or 90 minutes of zone 2, and then 30 minutes of higher intensity work. I think that would be like the gold standard for somebody just trying to be generally fit. And those high intensity workouts, they can be in any modality. It can be on a rower, it can be on a ski erg, it can be on an airdyne. You can do hill sprints. You can pretty much do whatever you want. The modality never really matters. One thing I want to highlight here, at the beginning of this question, when they were giving the specifics of their routine, they said, I currently walk 10 steps a day. 10 steps a day, Jesus. I currently walk 10,000 steps a day. I really like that they didn't insinuate that that was cardio. And sometimes I get a lot of shit about this, but if you're just like walking 10,000 steps a day, you're not doing cardio. Those 10,000 steps do not count as cardio unless they are done in a cardio specific environment. So when I am walking my dog, it's not cardio. When I am walking through the grocery store and I get 3,000 steps walking through the grocery store, those 3,000 steps don't count as cardio. There's no way that I am putting the stress on my heart that is needed to call something cardio while I'm walking through the grocery store, and neither are you. So I think that's a very important distinction. I would say I would rather this person take, not every day, but on like high intensity days, if it's between like being rushed for time or pressed for time and maybe even like lacking some energy, I would rather somebody get 7,000 steps a day, and instead of being like, oh shit, I gotta hit 10,000 steps, I gotta go for a 30-minute walk, I would rather you go and do a 20-minute HIIT workout on the rowing machine or on an airdyne. So to me, 7,000 or 7,500 steps a day and a 20 to 25-minute HIIT workout is way better for your health than just getting that extra 3 to 3,500 steps a day. If your everyday life between, like I said, grocery shopping and walking the dogs and cleaning the house, I mean, there's some days that I get 5,000 steps a day just from like walking from the kitchen to the bathroom to clean the bathroom, and then I go outside to mow the lawn, and I'm like racking up steps, but that's not exercise. Another thing is, if you're someone who's getting 10,000 steps a day as a nurse, for example, because you're walking through the hospital, you're probably so conditioned to that after a certain amount of time that that's also not cardio for you. With that being said, the last thing that a client of mine who's a nurse and gets 20,000 steps a day just walking around the hospital wants to hear me say is go and get more steps, or go walk on a treadmill incline for 30 minutes to get your cardio in. They are going to kill me if I tell them to go walk more. So in that case, I would have them probably do their cardio on a machine of their choice. Off the top of my head, I usually throw them the suggestion of a stationary bike, whether it's a recumbent bike, an air bike, or just a traditional stationary bike, because then they can throw on some Netflix, they can read a book, they can do something to decompress along with their exercise. But having them do their zone 2 work on a treadmill incline would just be brutal. And I don't have any interest in torturing people, especially somebody who's working hard all day. I don't want to make their life any more miserable. But, you know, another thing you could do is just, if you have a road bike, you know, and you've walked 10,000, 15,000 steps in a day, go for a bike ride. Go to the parkway, go to the canal, hop on a bike and just get some cardio in. If you ride around the neighborhood, maybe there's a couple of hills. It'll boost your heart rate up into a little bit of a higher zone. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But I love this question because they basically know that they have to work on some cardio and be a little bit more specific about their cardio workouts. So another suggestion real quick just to wrap it up is, 4 days of strength training. You can do a lot with that. That's a pretty solid split. You can do lower upper split for strength training, and then add in a day of cardio for your 5th day instead of getting your 5th strength training session in. You could also scale it back to 3 days per week of strength training, do 3 full body workouts, and get 2 days of 2 days of cardio in. Whether you do full body Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and then Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday, you can do a HIIT workout and a Zone 2 workout. You can pretty much rack up some pretty quality fitness in either of those splits. 5 days a week is awesome to work out, but 5 of those days don't have to be lifting. You don't have to be strength training 5 days a week. You can, don't get me wrong. And some people do and some people should. It all depends on your goal. But if you're not getting paid for this and you don't have to check every single box, then you don't have to lift 5 days a week, especially at the cost of not doing enough cardio. Because having a healthy heart and a good cardiac base and having a good amount of muscle mass and strength is significantly better than just having one or the other. So make sure to prioritize both cardio and strength, and you do not prioritize either of them for calorie burn. You prioritize them because they help you improve your health, they help you create longevity and independence as you age, period, full stop. I feel like a broken record. That's a solid episode. I appreciate you guys reaching out for questions. If you have not asked a question yet, please feel free to reach out and ask me whatever you want. Just shoot me a topic that you want me to discuss on the episode. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. Thank you for listening. You already know what's coming next. Please do me a huge favor. Leave me a 5-star review wherever you are listening. If you are listening on Apple, please leave me a written 5-star review because it's super helpful. And last but not least, if you think you know somebody who can benefit from the information in this podcast, do me a favor, share it with them. Copy the link, send it to them in a text. Tell them that you found a very helpful podcast that you think they would enjoy, and it will help them and it will help me. And if you are somebody who received that link, welcome to my podcast. I appreciate you listening. Thanks again. I will talk to you soon. Have a great week.